Hello there. Today I want to discuss this particular math problem, which I believe is a past PSLE math question. If you were to go to the link given in the description below, you will get to this site in which you have the ability to change the numbers to the problem. Right? So every time you click this new problem button, you can see that the numbers used in this question will also change. And you have to press or click this answer button, you'll get the corresponding answer to the question. Right, so let's perhaps choose this one to solve. Let's read the question together. Pupils in a school are put into two groups on a learning journey. 1/6 of the pupils are in group A and the rest are in group B. Half of the pupils in group A are girls. In the school, 7/12 of the pupils are girls. So the question is, what is the fraction of pupils in group B that are girls? Right, so I want to clarify something before I proceed with tackling this problem. You will notice that I have represented the information here in this diagram. This diagram is called a tree diagram, or more exactly, probability tree diagram. I'm not sure whether this is the best way to answer this question for primary school mathematics, but this probability tree diagram is a very useful concept that you will encounter later on in your education in secondary schools and maybe even beyond. So before I proceed to discuss the answer, maybe I want to go explain a little bit more about what this probability tree or tree diagram is all about. Let's say there are two boxes, box X and box Y, and they contain some shapes, okay? Stars and circles for both of them. Box X contains 10 shapes, of which 4 are stars and 6 circles, whereas box Y contains uh, 30 shapes, of which 10 are stars and the remainder 20 circles. Right, so all in all, total we have 40 shapes. Okay. So this information can be represented in what we call a tree diagram. It's called a tree diagram because we have this branching. So the first branch is we have the two boxes, X and Y. Right? So in box X there are 10 shapes, so I represent that number here. And in box Y we have 30, so I put the numbers here. Right, so this represents 10 shapes in box X and 30 shapes in box Y. But these 10 shapes in box X can be differentiated further. So I'm going to introduce another branch. The first one is for star, the second one is for circles. So how many stars do we have in box X? 4. So I'm going to write 4 here. How many circles? 6. And I'm going to do the same for Y. Star branch and the circle branch. Okay, so this is, how many stars do we have? We have 10 and we have 20. Right, so you can see that the numbers actually match. 4 and 6, 10. 10 and 20, 10 and 20, 30. Right, so now I'm going to do the same tree diagram, but instead of using numbers, I'm going to use fraction. So let's take a look at the first level branch X and Y. So instead of putting 10, I'm going to have fraction of shapes in box X over the total number of shapes for both X and Y, which is 40. Right. So 10 over 40 can be simplified to 1 over 4. So instead of writing 10, I'm going to write 1 over 4 here. Now instead of 30, I'm going to write the fraction 30 over the total number 40, which is 3 over 4. Okay, so this is 3 over 4. Now, what do you notice about these two fractions? They actually add up to one whole, right? Because one whole represents the total number 40. So another way of actually getting this value, instead of taking this fraction, I can also do this. 1 minus 1 over 4, we'll get 3 over 4. Okay, so there are two ways of doing it. So I'm going to do the same for here. I'm going to create another branch for the star and circle. And again, instead of using the whole numbers, I'm going to use fraction. So I have 4, and the total number of shapes in box X is actually 10, so I'm going to take 4 over 10 as a fraction. This simplifies to 2 over 5. Right? So I'm going to write 2 over 5 here. And as before, there are two ways of doing it. Either I can calculate 6 over 10, 3 over 5, or I can take 1 minus 2 over 5, which is also 3 over 5. Right? So here the fraction is 3 over 5. Let's do that for the last branch, star and circle. Right, so what is the fraction here? It is 10 over 30, which is 1 over 3. So 1 over 3 here and 2 over 3 here. So let me erase this so as not to distract us. We don't need this anymore. We don't need this anymore. So let's erase that. Now come the interesting part. What happens when we take this fraction and multiply by this? Let's calculate that one first. 1 over 4 multiplied by 2 over 5. That simplifies to 1 over 10. This cancels. 1 and 2. Now, let's take a look at the original number. How do you think we can get 1 over 10? The number of stars in box X is 4, and the total number is 40. So the fraction of stars that come from box X over the total number of shapes is actually 4 over 40, or 1 over 10. Right? So actually this number, multiplying 1 over 4 and 2 over 5, actually gives us the fraction of stars that come from box X out of the total number of shapes. So I can do that same for this branch for box Y and the star. So I get 3 over 4 multiplied by 1 over 3. That simplifies to 1 over 4. Right. So how do we get 1 over 4 from these numbers? So if we look at box Y, there are actually 10 stars. So divide by the total number of shapes, 40. That will simplify to 1 over 4. Right? So this number, fraction 1 over 4, actually represents the number of stars from box Y over the total number of shapes. Okay? The last thing that I can do is I can take 1 over 10 plus 1 over 4. Simplifies to 7 over 20. What does this number represent? This number represents the number of stars from both box X and Y over the total number of shapes. Right, let's check it out. What is the total number of stars? From X is 4, from Y it is 10, so total is 14. This is the fraction over the total number. It's 14 over 40, and that simplifies to 7 over. Okay, now that you have understand a little bit about what tree diagram is all about, let's tackle this question. So the first step that we need to do is to take this 1 over 6 multiplied by 1 over 12. Sorry, 1 over 6 multiplied by 1 over 2. And what you'll get is 1 over 12. So 1 over 12 will be here. What does it mean, or what does it represent? This 1 over 12 is actually referring to the fraction of girls from group A, right? Because this branch is girls and group A out of the total number of students in the whole school, or in the learning journey, right? And then we are told further that 7/12 of the pupils are actually girls. So with that information, we can find the fraction of girls that is coming from group B out of the total number of students. Right? So if we take 7 over 12 and minus 1 over 12, you're going to get 6 over 12, and that actually simplifies to half. So what does it mean? It means that this is half. Okay? Now, let's go back a little bit more here. Group A, 1 over 6. What does it mean? It means that in group B, you're going to get 1 minus 1 over 6. This simplifies to 5 over 6, which means this one is 5 over 6. Right? So we are left to find what is this, which is what the question is asking. So 5 over 6 multiplied by that unknown is equal to half. So how do I get that unknown? I will have to take half divided by this 5 over 6. Okay? So I'm going to convert the divide to multiply, and then this is 6 over 5, and I can simplify this further to 3 over 5. Right, so that is the final answer. I know that there has been quite a long video because I have to explain what a tree diagram is. So I would suggest very strongly that now that you have learned something, perhaps something new, go to the link, right, and then do a few of these problems. Go and change the numbers and do a few of these problems until you find that you feel very confident about solving the problem all by yourself. Right? It will do you a lot of good. It will boost your confidence. Okay? So have fun and thank you for listening.